Welcome to the Next Level Law Podcast, where we explore innovative strategies to grow and scale your law firm in today's competitive legal landscape. Joining you each week are veterans in the legal space and law firm growth experts Arash Eskandari and Richard Perillo, coming to you with over 18 years of combined experience, successfully transforming legal practices. Our hosts are passionate about helping law firm owners take their business to the next level. If you want to exponentially increase your client base, revenue, efficiency, and profitability, you're in the right place. Stick around as your hosts dive into actionable insights and proven methods tailored specifically to help your law firm ascend to new heights. Time to get down to business.
Welcome to another episode of the Next Level Law Podcast. I'm Richard Perillo, and I'm joined by my co-host, Arash Eskandari. The podcast today is sponsored by Vertical 10. Vertical 10 is your full-service digital marketing agency exclusively for attorneys providing SEO, Facebook, and Google marketing services designed to bring quality clients to your firm. Please visit vertical10.com to find out more information, see if your law firm is a good fit for our Case Accelerator program. We're speaking today with attorney Gary Miles. Gary is an attorney with over 4 decades of legal experience, but he's also a success coach, author, podcaster, public speaker, and wellness advocate. Gary has a new book out called Break Free, a guide to achieving personal and professional freedom as a lawyer. Gary, welcome today. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Wow, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Arash, good morning.
How you doing?
Good as always. We have 2 authors today with Arash and Gary. So at some point, I'd like us to talk about how you went coming up with the main ideas of your book and how they're designed to help both up-and-coming attorneys and attorneys who are struggling in some aspects of their profession, get marketing, life balance, achieving their goals. Those type of challenges are, a lot of what both of your books really delve into. But let's start first with Gary. Gary, do you mind talking a little bit about the how and the why of why you became an attorney in the first place?
Yeah, it was always my plan to become an attorney, and like we said, I practiced in Maryland for 45 years and relocated to North Carolina and transitioned out of my law firm, which I owned and managed for about 3 decades, and I've counseled to the firm and worked for a limited extent. And when I got here, I just wanted to help and support as many attorneys as I can, because I know how tough our field is, how difficult, and do that for a variety of ways. I started a newsletter on LinkedIn with about 3,200 subscribers. I started my own podcast, The Free Lawyer. I just released episode 211 today, and wrote Breaking Free, as you mentioned, and now coach and mentor lawyers one-on-one.
So in Maryland, what type of law primarily did you practice?
I did high-level personal injury, civil defense mostly, and mostly in the area of transportation. That is to say, when a truck would be in an accident on the interstate, I'd be hired to represent the truck driver and the trucking company. And then about 15 years ago, I decided to enter family law as my primary field, and I kind of transformed what I was doing because I wanted to be of more direct service to my clients and really help them through what for many is the most difficult challenge of their life, handling a difficult divorce. And so I finished doing that for the last 15 years.
Okay. And so just coincidentally, Arash and I are both from Maryland. What area of Maryland were you based out of?
North of Baltimore County, Hunt Valley, Cockeysville, that area. For the insurance defense, I handled their cases throughout the state of Maryland. For the family law, I worked mostly in the Baltimore metropolitan area. So Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Howard, Harford, and Roanoke counties.
Okay. Perfect.
You spent a lot of time in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. I was from. We were both from Germantown, but I spent the last years in Maryland in Silver Spring. But yeah, we always went to hang out in Baltimore. It was a lot more fun than DC.
Baltimore is a nice area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs a comeback, and I think the comeback is starting to slowly kind of make its way. But yeah, let's hope that it really pops and gets back to what everybody knows it can be.
Yeah,
Gary, are you still?
I think it will.
I'm sorry. Are you still practicing law, or are you just focusing on all the other stuff you're doing?
I'm still practicing law, but to a limited extent, because I'm in North Carolina. It's 7 hours to Baltimore. Getting to court on time is difficult. But I go back and try some of our bigger cases. I handle some of our bigger family law cases from here, and I handle our firm marketing and case intake.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, since we're kind of limited on time with you, Gary, and we do want to be respectful of that. Can you talk a little bit about the motivation about your new book, Break Free: Guide to Achieving Personal and Professional Freedom as a Lawyer? That would be something our audience would really be interested in. We have clients coast to coast, and in addition to getting new clients, new quality clients, case acquisition, one of the biggest challenges that we see that they're having, in addition to being like understaffed, because that's, I think, across the country, but is really having that in your title, the personal and professional freedom as a lawyer. So can you talk a little bit about the motivation of why you wrote this book and what kind of advice and guidance it provides to new and experienced attorneys out there?
Yeah, I wrote the book because I think so many lawyers feel so much stress, so overwhelmed, so stuck, sometimes unhappy, frustrated, and I wanted to help and support them. And a lot of what they're frustrated about are things they can't change, and a lot of the things they can change, they don't focus on changing. And much of our stress comes from our own mindset. So in Breaking Free, I lay out the 12, what I think are most important prisons of our mind. There are things like perfectionism, people pleasing, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, expectations, comparison, things like that. And then in each chapter, I give tools to manage that mindset obstacle. In the second half of the book, I talk about the 12 keys to unlock those prisons. They're more positive mindsets like gratitude, acceptance, mindfulness, living in the present, things like that. And I've learned with the lawyers I coach one-on-one that when we change what they think about and how they think, they can really free themselves from a lot of the stress, some of which is really self-imposed by how we choose to what we think about. What we think about is what we experience. So we think about, focus on how cranky our managing partner is, we're going to feel stressed. We're going to walk in, he's going to even say good morning to us, but we won't take it that way because we have this mindset that we're annoyed with him. If we have a client we can't stand who just aggravates us, he calls, we immediately get stressed because there's that client we don't like to talk to. But we can change how we think about those things. We know the client's difficult, and that's okay. We'll just deal with it and move on. And if we don't want to represent him because he's that difficult, then we don't represent him. But as long as we represent him, we know he's a challenging person. We just accept that as kind of being what it is and handle whatever comes our way.
Well, yeah, and Arash, I can say from knowing you for the past 30 plus years, when you worked at law firms, in an IT role, there was definitely some stress on your end, Arash.
I was just going to chime in on that. Like having a book like this is crucial. There needs to be more material like this and more, just more information, because I mean, I guess it's been like 20 years now since I've been working with attorneys, and yeah, I've seen it all. I mean, lots of alcoholism due to stress, lots of marital problems, things like that. It's not something they teach you in in law school, how to deal with these kind of things. It's very stressful to be a lawyer. There's a lot of long hours, and you're dealing with some crazy clients sometimes. So yeah, this seems like a book every attorney should have on their desk.
Yeah, the ABA did a study about wellness in the legal profession. It's really scary. It suggests 25% to a third of lawyers have a substance abuse problem, and about the same number struggle with clinical depression. And those are scary. Those are scary figures, and I'm glad we're now able to, talk about those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we saw at the very worst. It was one of the great lawyer that was in one of our offices. He unfortunately, right during COVID, he took his own life. And things could be preventable.
So tragic.
It was tragic. It was horrible, and like we were just all in shock. We couldn't believe it. Especially for males, they tend to shy away from getting help. They feel like they can handle it on their own, and like there's nothing wrong with getting help. You got to get help.
There's always a solution, and I think a lot of times people feel like they're alone, that there's no one who feels like they do, that everyone else looks like they have it together and they're struggling and feel like they're sinking, and they're never alone. There are a lot of people who are going through the same things they are, who feel the way that they do, and there's always a solution. There's always a solution. We don't have to be in that place. If we don't like how we're feeling, we can seek help. And there's always help available. I chaired the lawyer assistance program in my area in Maryland for about 20 years. And we would help those struggling lawyers and judges and law students, and with great success. But the key is the person has to be willing. They have to be open to accepting help and open to growing through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to get personal, I've dealt with it myself. I've dealt with mental health issues for many years. Especially now, it's even harder having my own business and feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I have 3 kids to provide for, and even when I was working for people and I was working for lawyers, doing IT and marketing, it was the same thing. It was just so much stress, and you never. I didn't have any ways to cope with it. I didn't know, mindfulness and meditation and just taking a breather and things like that. It's just things you have to go figure out. Whether on your own or seeking help, there's a lot of material out there. Whereas, growing up, I mean, you have to go to the library, like, or something like that. But now you just on the internet, there's people like Gary Miles, that can help you. His book, his coaching, everything. So, lots of material out there and lots of help. So there's no excuse not to try to help yourself.
Yeah, the only it's not an excuse. What happens, I think, is a combination of ego and a sense there's some stigma, and it's kind of unfortunate if I had a serious physical illness, whether it's cancer or diabetes or Parkinson's disease, people will be very sympathetic and understanding, but we feel like when it's a mental health issue, people are judgmental, and so we feel like there's a stigma. But a mental illness is no different than a physical illness, and both require care, and both can be cured if folks just are willing to seek help confidentially and anonymously. It doesn't become a public thing. And if any of you are out there wondering, how can I get there? I'm not happy with where I am. I'm really struggling. Find someone you can talk to. Call the lawyer assistance program in your area, or reach out to someone who can be of support to you, because there are plenty of people around like you who can help.
No, absolutely. And it seems like, and we've spoken to, attorneys, on all sorts of, fields, criminal, personal injury, civil lit, you name it. And one of the things that really does keep popping up, and we saw this a few podcasts ago, Arash, was, the struggle that lawyers are going through, whether they own their own firm or whether they're working, as an associate or they're just starting out. They really are struggling with, a lot of the challenges that come along, with potentially holding somebody's life in your hands, whether it's criminal or if there's, like you were saying with inside the family law arena. Divorce is, a terrible thing that, that rips families apart, but, 51% of married couples the first time get divorced, and what is it, over 60% get married of married couples the second time get divorced. So it's something that is, it's affecting more than a majority of the population. And I think your book, Gary, would not only apply to attorneys, I think you can apply it across, almost any career.
You absolutely can. The principles really are the same.
Yeah, and that's that's definitely another reason why, if you're not an attorney, or if you're not even thinking about being an attorney, but you're listening to the podcast and you're a regular subscriber, it's something that you should think about, picking up and just reading, using it as a guide, and looking at a lot of the principles that Gary talks about, and maybe not every solution is for every single person, but it seems to me that there's going to be a solution for nearly every situation in your book. Is that pretty safe to say?
Yes, there is, absolutely. And the solution may be that there's certain things in your life that you can't change, that you can't stand, and then you have to make a change yourself. You have to move to a different place. You have to work in a different field. That's the biggest change one has to make, but the smaller changes are changing how we think. Remove so much of the stress, because so much of the stress we feel is self-created. Or at least we take those circumstances and we fester on them and we ruminate on them and we think about them, and they just create more and more stress. It feeds on itself.
What type of advice or guidance would you give to people, and lawyers, non-lawyers, to kind of overcome that self-inflicted wound, so to speak?
I would suggest three things. The first is to stay in the present. So much of the stress we feel is thinking about something that happened in the past, something we did wrong, something we didn't like, the way someone treated us, and we could feel resentful or regretful about what happened. Or we might get into the future, particularly, and worry about what's going to happen. What's going to happen with this case? Am I going to win? What does it mean if I lose? And if we stay in the present, we get more work done. And the present, there's really no stress in the present. We're sitting down doing our work. We're getting our matters cleaned up. It's very productive. The second thing is to practice acceptance. Accept those things we can't change, and change the things we can. And I can't change you. I can't change Arash. I can't change other people. I can't change circumstances. But what I can change is what I think about. And when I do that, I can really create a lot more peace. And the final thing is to practice gratitude. I have all my clients, from the beginning when we work together, each morning for 30 days, write down 3 things they're grateful for. Each day, only 3 things. That's not hard, except you can't write down the same thing twice. So after 20 days, you've written down 60 things in your life you're grateful for, and now you got to go looking for something else to be grateful for. And I will tell you that when you're on a search for something to be grateful for in your life, your mindset is an entirely different place. So gratitude, acceptance, and mindfulness are 3 keys.
So it's funny you say that, Gary. On my desk, I have The Power of Now.
Yeah.
Read it multiple times, but I feel like once a year I got to reread it.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to read it again, just because the being present, the mindfulness thing, it's hard. It's very hard to do. We're just all up in our heads all the time, and it's a dangerous place to be. We forget to look around and actually just be in the now. So, and then to touch on what you're speaking about with the writing down the things that you're grateful for every morning. So I did that for, I think, like a year. I had a journal, and I have to say that worked incredibly well. So every morning you have to sit there and you really, because you have to come up with different things. So you have to think of the most minute little thing, I didn't have traffic today, whatever it is, but it really starts to add up. And I noticed the shift in my mentality when I was doing that. So that's something I definitely need to bring back, the gratitude journal. It's a powerful tool.
It is.
It's not just for attorneys, it's for anybody, and not just entrepreneurs. It's for anybody who's in any kind of stressful field these days, which seems to be a lot of fields. But yeah, I highly recommend Power of Now. If you guys haven't read it, it's a fantastic book.
It's a great book. I agree.
So, Gary, let's kind of circle back and I know we got about 10 minutes left or so, but let's circle back, and can you talk a little bit about why you decided to go from PI into family? Because I would have to imagine it's not the money, because you're defending or you're working with these big trucking accidents. We know some of the figures that come out of that. We know certainly what it costs to represent on both sides. So going into family, there's definitely some altruism in there. But can you kind of talk a little bit about a little bit more of a detail of why you decided to shift from one focus to the next?
The main reason, I think, and there were multiple, but the most important reason was to be fulfilled. I often find lawyers are very unhappy with what they're doing, and they feel like they're stuck and they can't change. I was 50 when I made a rather dramatic shift from one area to another area that's not related. And I really like doing litigation defense in that civil arena, but my clients were covered by a policy of insurance. It paid the judgment. They didn't really care. In fact, they preferred to not be there. So I didn't have any real genuine connection with my client in court. And it ended when the case ended. When I handle a family law case and I achieve my client's goals, they'll write me a heartfelt thank you note, tell me about how I really made a difference in their life. And that's what makes me enjoy work, when I really make a difference in somebody's life. And I can do that in family law and really help someone who's lost, confused, fearful, angry, get to a place where they're free and happy and content and have their answers to their questions and can move forward with their life in a way they're grateful for. And I find it very fulfilling and very satisfying.
What type of, and again, we touched on the numbers, and what type of guidance would you give individuals, men and women, so that they don't have to be at the point of, part of the statistics, 51%, 61% divorces. So you've been doing this for, well over a decade. I'm sure there's not much you haven't seen, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen, amicable to that shit crazy and everything in between. So what type of guidance would you give to individuals in our audience so that it doesn't have to get to, A, can they not even work it out? Or B, once they're in the process, it doesn't just go off the rails immediately.
Yeah, I would urge them to think about communication, to actually listen to the other party. When we're in a disagreement with someone and he says one thing, then I'm ready to argue back, and then I raise my voice and he raises his voice and we're off to the races. But listening to the other person and understanding their feelings can really be a great step to diffuse hostility. And when you're in the process, think about why you married that person. Think about why you both parented those children. Think about what's important. And don't look at it from a selfish perspective, but look at how can we get through this together so we could separate in a way that doesn't harm my spouse and, more importantly, doesn't harm my children.
Yeah, no, outstanding. So I'm gonna throw another statistic out there, and you see it a lot. Well, there's three men here on the podcast, so I'm not trying to we talk with ladies who are family law attorneys, but why do you think 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women? And as three men on the podcast, what can we do better so that we're not part of the reason why 70 to 80% of women initiate those divorces?
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that statistic myself. I don't know. I think it just comes back to what I said before about listening. I know I even struggle with it sometimes. My wife is a director of nursing. She has a very stressful job. she'll come home and want to share how she feels about her day, and I immediately want to give her solutions. And I would do much better if I listened to her. And I think we guys often don't want to take the time to really listen to our partner, and often that's the most important thing we can do.
Yeah, I think that's Arash. I think you might agree with that.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I definitely struggle with that because, like, at the end of the day, when you're running a business, you have a million things, you have a million ideas, you have a million solutions you're thinking of, and obviously you have a million problems that you have to deal with. And sometimes my wife is talking to me, and I find myself just thinking about all the issues going on. So back to trying to be present and listen, and it's just hard, when you're an entrepreneur or you're just a busy lawyer and you got a massive case you're working on or whatever it is. It's hard to like, you have to find a way to just break free and put work aside and listen to your spouse and then be present and just be there for him, her. It's hard. We live in a society where it's so competitive and everybody wants to be successful, and we like derive something like out of ourselves, like how we feel about ourselves based on our careers and our success. Where at the end of the day, your family's all that really matters. So you gotta take the time for your spouse and really listen and be there.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, or they're gonna find someone else. Makes sense. So Gary, just curious, as far as your book and your coaching program goes, how are people able to, like, are you doing any kind of marketing or anything to get the word out there on your?
Yes, I've been doing a lot of marketing on LinkedIn and through my website. My website is garymiles.net. You can find there a link to the book and some information about it, Breaking Free. You can also find a link to all my podcasts there, and as well to all my blogs I've written. I've written about 130 newsletters for LinkedIn, and all the blogs are posted there as well. So that's a great resource. If anyone wants to connect with me, they can do so the best way, either from emailing me at gary@garymiles.net or through LinkedIn under my name, Gary Miles.
Okay, fantastic. And Gary, you've been super generous with your time, and I know that we're up on a bump here, so we definitely appreciate you hopping on. We'd love to have you again because a half hour, quite honestly, just isn't enough time to kind of delve into everything and the wisdom and experience that you have. So if you're open to jumping on down the road, guesting again, Arash, I think we would definitely love to have him as a recurring guest.
I would love to hop on again. That would be great. And thank you both very much for having me on today. I appreciate it greatly. And thanks for all each of you do to help law firms and lawyers out there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Gary. I think this can be a helpful podcast for all the lawyers and whoever else is listening out there. So definitely a great podcast, and really enjoyed it.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Gary.
All right.
Yeah, Arash, it was great having Gary on. Now what we're gonna talk a little bit about your book, and it's kind of funny. Gary's book has the outline for helping attorneys deal with that work-life balance. Your book, The Law Firm Marketing Blueprint, really delves into how to use the digital age, technology, social media platforms, search engines, SEO to scale, to grow their law firms. I know that you were on the support side for well over a decade, and again, much like Gary, there wasn't much that you hadn't seen. Let's talk a little bit about your motivation for taking the time to produce this book and the help that it's given lawyers in PI, criminal, family, all across the spectrum.
So I'll kind of explain how I transitioned from the IT world to the marketing world. So I was doing IT for lawyers for a long time, 16 years or so, and honestly, it was burning me out. It was a lot of long hours, working 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I have 3 kids. My wife was, she was very supportive during this time. I was providing for the family and everything, but it was just, it was taking a toll because, I was never around. I was constantly working, Saturdays, Sundays, it didn't matter. So kind of like on the side, I started really looking into marketing. I don't really remember what inspired me to do that, but I started doing it and I really enjoyed it. I was like, man, I had a knack for it. I saw that I was actually producing great results. I was doing stuff on the side for some local clients. I did some stuff for my sister and her 2 dental offices. Then I started an e-commerce business, and I took that from nothing to $1.2 million in revenue in I think the second year, just using Facebook ads. So I did everything you can think of to learn Facebook ads and become an absolute expert. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in mastermind groups and training, and all that helps. But like mostly, I mean, I've managed millions of dollars in Facebook ads. And then I also had some SEO sites, so I learned SEO, Facebook ads. I'm not a huge Google expert, but on our team we have a Google ex-employee, so he's awesome. But so I started really enjoying marketing, and at that point, like I was just like, the breaking point was we got hacked at the law firm for like the third time in like a year and a half, and it was just too much. Didn't sleep for 5 days straight. I would go home when I could go home. I slept on a couch a lot of times at one of the attorney's offices. It was just, I was like, man, I don't know if I could do this anymore. So it was just a rough period. And then I took the leap. I was like, I'm gonna start my own marketing firm for lawyers. And I gave my notice. They wouldn't let me leave, so they kind of made me stay on for like another 3 months, until until I just couldn't take it anymore. It was too hard to do both, So I dove in and immediately started seeing results with the first few clients. Started building the team out, started getting more employees, and here we are today. So, I have a passion for marketing. I love it. I love that we can take, uh, either an established firm or even a solo attorney who's committed and willing to, take some risks and spend some dollars to grow their firm, and we can really help them. We can take their firm from, just scraps, hoping to get a referral here and there, to a consistent, predictable revenue coming in every month. Like this is life changing. I mean, it's when you have such a high percentage of businesses that are gone within the first 5 years. I think it's something crazy like 60 to 70%. Don't even most don't even make it past the first year. 5-year mark is very hard to do. So, we're helping these firms not only survive, but thrive. So, so it's something I really love to do. And I decided, I guess it's been like over a year and a half now or so, I have all this knowledge, 20 years plus of IT and marketing. They all kind of go hand in hand. There's a lot of technical aspects when it comes to marketing. So I decided to write the book, the Law Firm Marketing Blueprint. And yeah, it's been doing really well. We actually just give it out for free. If anyone's listening here, go, reach out to us at info@vertical10.com, and I'll send you a free book. I'll send you we give it out for free. It's a free resource, no shipping and handling involved, nothing. Just, you get a free book, and, in return, we hope that it helps you. And if you ever want additional help with marketing, you can reach out to Vertical 10, and we'll take you to the next level, because we find most will read the book and they'll try to implement these things, but you're a lawyer. You're not a marketing expert, like leave that to the experts, but maybe it'll at least give you an idea of, so like, you don't want to go into something totally blind. You want to go in and have some knowledge. So, you can speak to a marketing expert or a marketing firm and, not be totally clueless. So that's where my book comes in. And there's other people that have said, they've totally read it from front to back, and it's helped them tremendously. So Yeah, the book is a great resource for lawyers, especially when it's free. I mean, not even charging for it. If you're a lawyer and you're committed, well, we'll send you one. And we just hope to maybe have a conversation on the back end at some point with you. If not, hope you enjoy the resource. But yeah, it's a great book. I put a lot of time into it. It was a lot of long hours. As people know, if anyone who's ever written a book like Gary that we just spoke to, it's a very time consuming and difficult thing to do. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of the book, and I'm glad it's helping people.
Is there going to be a second one?
Absolutely. Yeah, things are always changing in marketing, so it's something I've already been thinking about. I did update the cover this year, and I think that helped because I wasn't too happy with the original cover. So I really like the cover now, and I actually, with the cover update, I did do some minor updates when it came to Google LSA ads, some things that were just recent. So I updated that portion, but yeah, there's going to be an updated version coming out. I think probably at the end of the year.
Yeah, as you know, I mean, I talk to attorneys across the spectrum every day, and a lot of them, I don't know if it's 50% or 25%, but a lot of them have tried digital marketing on their own, and it has literally blown up in their face. They've spent tens of thousands of dollars. They haven't even gotten a lead, much less a retained client. Let's talk a little bit about, and maybe some of it's intake, because some the intake can shut down a very strong PNC right off the bat. But let's talk a little bit about some of the major things that you would really want these attorneys to focus on if they're just getting started in digital marketing and they haven't retained an agency like Vertical 10, so that they're maybe missing some of like the don't step in the pothole, don't do this, maybe look at this. Maybe talk about 2 or 3 things that the biggest pitfalls really of what attorneys are doing when they're just trying to get into digital marketing, and they're quite honestly, they're blowing through tens of thousands of dollars with not even a retained case.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely honest with you. Just reading my book or any other book on marketing that's step one of many, many, many steps. Like, you have to understand how many hours that marketing professionals put in. They say, there's not even, you can go look this up. They say marketers are some of the most highly knowledgeable people and have to, more than doctors at some point, because the insane amount of material that you have to constantly learn and relearn within like 2-3 months. Things change in medicine or whatever, but they don't change in 2-3 months, right? Literally what was working 2-3 months ago is not going to work anymore. So you're constantly have to relearn everything. And then there's so many algorithm updates. There's so many platform updates. There's things that were just in the back end. Like if you don't have all the connections with all these people that are in the industry, that you're not going to know what's going on. You're just not going to know. Like, you're not going to realize that this update that Facebook did all of a sudden makes it so that this type of campaign just doesn't work anymore. So we're always in the trenches. We're always learning more. Like I said, we're spending thousands of dollars every month, honestly, just to keep abreast on everything that's going on. So if you have that kind of time as an attorney, that's not good, because it means you're not getting a lot of clients. So maybe you can put the time in, but I'm telling you, like, first of all, you have to be very very good at tech. Someone like you, Rich, you would lose your mind. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah. There's no doubt. you know me and passwords, so yeah. I mean, it's I booted up my computer today, so I'm 1 for 1.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, it's a very technical world, and it's constantly changing. So I don't recommend it. I recommend you work on being a lawyer. That's your specialty, and you either hire someone in-house, or the best thing you could do is hire an agency. Why? Because you're hiring someone for probably less than you're gonna pay for, an intake specialist or a paralegal to get a full team of people that are working for you. You know, you're getting marketing experts, and you're getting a team of them. You're not just getting like one guy. If you hire one guy, he or she is not going to be able to do SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads. You know, make sure your website is optimized properly for SEO. All these other things. You know, you have proper CRM on the back end to make sure not only are the leads getting automations and all. There's a lot to know, a lot to learn. So yeah, you gotta hire somebody. There's a lot of good firms out there, a lot of good agencies. The ones I would look out for are the ones that have ridiculous promises. Like we've seen it, you know, like we've seen it on our end. Some clients of ours will be like, oh, we're gonna go with them because they have this. And then next thing you know, they're coming back. They're like, yeah, that didn't work because they have these ridiculous promises that we just know. Like we're gonna tell you up front. Okay, this is how much you got to spend. This is what you can expect. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. There's nothing guaranteed in marketing because it's different in every situation, in every scenario, every brand, every lawyer, it doesn't matter. You just never know what's going to work. What we do is we keep trying everything we know in our arsenal until it does work. You know, if that means, listen, we got to do a complete rebrand of your entire firm because your website looks like garbage. It looks like it was built in the 90s. You know, like we see that a lot, which is blowing my mind. I'm like, please, for the first thing you got to do is put some money into your website. You know, like that is a representation of your business, of your law firm. You know, when someone goes there and it's like this is awful looking, like, what do you think they're going to do? There's 50 other lawyers nearby that they can go to. They're not going to go to you because you look like you don't care. You know, you look like you don't care about your business. You don't care about your, what you're putting out there. You know, you have to spend some money. It's just part of business. You know, I know we have another thing is lawyers hate spending money. I get it, but I mean, it's part of business. It's the cost of doing business. You have to spend money on marketing. You're not going to compete. I'm just telling you right now, if you're thinking you're going to go out there and wait for referrals, you're going to be gone. You're not going to make it. It's a harsh reality. You're just not going to make it because digital marketing is taking over. You can forget about your billboards and your bus stop signs. That is done. Okay, less than 1% of all clients are coming from billboards. They did a study where they asked hundreds of people. Do you remember the name of the law firm that was on the billboard? They have no clue. They do not remember. People are not looking at billboards anymore. Okay, they're probably looking at their phone when they're driving.
Driving, looking at the phone. I was going to say, that's and what's on their phone? Your ad. Exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah, without question. Yeah, without question.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a different world we live in. Like the ones that are going to adapt and realize, okay, like we talk to ones that they get it. You know, we speak to ones that get it. They're like, okay, I know I got to change my mentality. Like I know I got to start spending some money on digital marketing because all my competition is doing it. So why am I not doing it? You know, that's just the world we live in. Like, you know, if someone wants a lawyer, they actually, it's been proven that most are not even coming from, like even like family referrals and people they know. You know, it comes down to like top of mind. Like, you know, okay, I'm constantly seeing this law firm's ads. You know, when I search for a law firm, they're in the top on Google, whether it's LSA ads or Google organic or PPC ads, whatever it is. That's who they're going to go with, you know, and they're not going to spend I think I know for a staff for personal injuries, once someone starts looking for a lawyer within 48 hours, they make a decision to hire a personal injury lawyer. So they're not going to go spend weeks looking for someone. Like they need to find someone immediately. So, you know, you got to be a part of that search, whether it's through Facebook or Google. You know, as soon as you start the inquiry, Facebook is smart enough to know also like, okay, this person's looking for a lawyer. Boom, we're going to start showing them some ads. Or they go to your site, they found you through Google, but then they kind of forgot about you, whatever, something came up, boom, then you hit them with a retargeting ad on Facebook. Oh, yeah, that was the firm I was looking at. Top of mind again. Now, once again, they're thinking about you. Now you're going to get the phone call. You know what I mean? If you're not showing up on Google on the first page, you're dead. If you're not doing any Facebook marketing so that at least when the search process starts, the algorithm's smart enough to know, okay, based on all these criteria, this person's looking for a lawyer. That, like, how is anyone going to find you? You know?
Yeah, without question. And my experience, and I think you agree with this from everybody you talk to on a daily basis, is that since COVID, and COVID's flipped the world upside down. Whether you believe it was legit or not, I mean, it does have consequences. And one of the big consequences in the legal field is that referrals have dried up since COVID. And whereas in the the 90s, the 2010s, you were getting 4 referrals a week, and and everybody keeps telling me I close 80%. Okay, so you're closing 3 out of 4 cases referred a week, not even a month. And now it's 2024, and it was 2023, it's 2024, and there's nothing. It's crickets. And these individuals, these solo firms, these smaller firms, and even the bigger firms, because we deal with the bigger firms that were living off of referrals before COVID. Now it's the landscape has shifted. I don't know where the referrals are going. If it's just people are keeping them for themselves because they don't have overflow business. Maybe there's 50 different reasons, but the referrals have dried up for the vast majority of the firms that we talk to on a daily basis. And there has to be something that levels the playing field against the mega firms.
Yeah, I mean, if you're relying on referrals for a business, it's just a matter of time before they are completely dried up. And if you are relying on referrals, why do you want to rely on referrals to begin with? You're only getting a small percentage of the case anyways. Why not do your own marketing, grow your own firm with marketing, so you get all of it. And then you can start referring cases out that you don't want, and you can get the percentage based off, you're going to get a lot of leads. Some leads might not be for you for whatever reason, but you need a consistent flow of leads coming in. You cannot sit there, just hoping and praying, and then also waiting for scraps. That's what you're getting. No one's going to give you those big cases. They're keeping those big cases for themselves. They're going to give you the scraps. Do you really want to rely on scraps to grow or even sustain your business at this point? It's not even about growth anymore. It's about survival. It really is. It's are you going to survive? Because we're seeing it. We'll talk to someone, and they're kind of bullheaded, and they're like this and that. And then we'll try to reach out to them 6 months later to see maybe they changed them, and they're gone. I'll go look at, I'm like, oh, well, their website's gone, they're done, and check their LinkedIn, they're working for someone else. You know what I mean? Not somewhere you want to be, So I can tell you for our agency, I turned off the ads about a month ago, no, about 3 weeks ago. It's been crickets, right? Well, we're getting some referrals based on our own clients and stuff like that. But no, it's just because we're working on some new ads, we're working on some new creatives and some video ads, and we have some really good case studies coming out also, because we've had some tremendous success with a few of our clients that we really want to share. But yeah, I mean, it's it's like when I was doing e-commerce. The moment I turned those ads off, it was done, crickets. So we run ads 24/7 all the time. Only reason I'm taking ads right now, taking a break, is because we're redoing stuff, and we kind of waited a little too long to refresh our ads. You also have to refresh your ads every 3-4 months, because people don't want to see the same ad over and over. They're going to start, it's called ad blindness. They just glaze over it, right? So the thing is, here's the biggest issue. Here's the biggest issue that the smaller, medium firms that are hesitant and think that this is not going to work. It will work if you give it time. Okay, time is the thing that digital marketing needs. It needs time, because we've seen it. Okay, maybe the first 2 months are not working, right? Not working great. Leads are coming in, but not at the cost that we want. And we have to be patient. We have to tell them, listen, the algorithm, whether it's Google's algorithm or Facebook's, has to learn. And then SEO is a different ballgame. That takes 6 to 8 months, sometimes 12 months, depending on the area, until you start ranking and getting more traffic. But you cannot expect, okay, in the first 30 days, the leads are going to be amazing, I'm going to get all these cases. Nothing works like that. Nothing in marketing works like that for any business. I don't care what it is. And what we find with lawyers is they're particularly just impatient.
Impatient.
Yeah, they have zero patience. They were like, listen, you're 6 feet from gold. Okay. That's the analogy I love to use because it's so true. Like they're 6 feet from gold and they quit. If they didn't quit, if they dug another 6 feet, the gold was there. Instead, they gave the shovel to another firm. That's what they did. They literally gave the shovel to another firm. That firm came in and now they've hit gold because it takes at least 3 months to really start seeing stuff. But like we noticed that by the third month, we was like, okay, wow, the leads are starting to get really good, starting to get good high value cases. And then from then on, it's just, we have clients that have been with us for years and years. They're the ones like it just never stops. They're just constantly getting great cases because the algorithms and we've done all the optimization needed. So everything is just working smoothly and it's just consistent. We never even hear from them half the time because they're just happy. They're happy. They're getting all the leads and cases they want. We're making a ton of money. They're growing their firm and they sleep good at night because they're in a great spot, great place,
And I think, patience is tough, when you're shelling out 5, 6, 10 grand a month and, the first 30 or 45 days, there may not be the return yet. But, you ask yourself, you go to Vegas and you put down 5 grand and you leave 45 days later with 100 grand. How many times would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
How many times would you risk 5 to come away with 100? I think
absolutely.
How many people would raise their hand for that? And the number is, basically 100%. And, and we see it, but it's tough for, and again, and you said it before, when you're, the referrals have dried up, it's not the way it was in, 2017. And, and you're still trying to pay your staff. It's tough, but you have to find a way because, again, we still wouldn't be in business if nobody was getting, clients, if people weren't happy, if people hadn't been with us for years. So, that's part one. Part two, I think really, and Arash, I think you'll agree with me on this, is intake. We can bring you 100 amazing leads, qualified, ready to go. And if your intake doesn't give a shit, doesn't care, isn't invested, isn't asking the right questions, you've just spent 10 grand and you've just lit it on fire. And
that's the Achilles heel for almost every firm that we've seen is what they assume is the great intake. They're like, oh, our intake team is wonderful. No, they're not. Okay. I would tell you over 70% of them are not good. Okay. And the only way you're going to find out is to just test them, and that's something we'll do. We'll randomly call and pretend to be a client, a potential client, and we'll kind of see what they do. And like, man, some of the stuff is just like unbelievable. I'm like, how is this firm even still around with such horrible intake? A lot of times it's not even like just how bad they are at following up, and they never follow up, which is
right.
Like, listen, get it in your head, everyone, that you have to follow up with leads. It's not fun. No one likes to do it. It's part of business. I don't care if you're a law firm or whatever. I don't care what industry you're on. You have to follow up with leads because we're in a different mindset where people are just so distracted and so they're not even really busy. They're just distracted. You know what I mean? And people are busy, but at the same time, no one's picking up phones because they think it's a scammer or some kind of spam call or whatever it is. And they just, and then at the same time, they're just so distracted with so many things going on their phones and whatever in their lives. You have to be consistent and follow up a lot. But at the same time, like we see intake where it's just like they just, I mean, this is the first person the client, the potential client is going to talk to for your law firm. This is the representation of like what they're going to experience. And if the first thing they experience is some awful intake person who treats them like they're at McDonald's, it's not going to be good. They're going to move on. Like, why would they go with you? You know what I mean? There's a million choices. There's lawyers everywhere. And like the amount of lawyers coming out of law school is ridiculous right now. So the competition is just going to get higher and higher. So make sure your intake is amazing. It has to be, or the rest of the whole process is just not going to work.
Right. Yeah. You go to a restaurant, the host is rude. The food's great, but the host is rude, and your waiter or waitress, doesn't give you the service that you need. It takes an hour and a half for your appetizer to come out. It could be the best appetizer in the world. It could be the best steak in the world for your entree. But if the service is bad right away, are you going back to that restaurant when there's 7 down the street that may or may not have better service? Without question, you're not going back. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Especially
that's
at these prices. Right?
yeah. Yeah, I went to Popeyes. It was $13.75 for 3 baby chicken tenders, and that was
That's insane.
that was
It's Popeyes. Come on.
it was Popeyes. And I love Popeyes, so like I was happy to be there. But yeah, not at $13.75 for 3 chicken tenders and some fries, and to get screamed at through the drive-through window. But,
Right.
but,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it applies, yeah, like you said, across every business. If that first person is not treating you valued, and again, I mean, think about it. You're bringing in, let's say you're talking to a family lawyer. It could be a $10,000 divorce, $20,000 divorce, $50,000 custody issue, and you're talking to your intake person is talking to them like they don't even exist, like they don't have an issue, they don't have a problem. They're going to find somebody who cares, or at least gives the impression that they care. And now you've spent $10,000 on marketing for the month of June, and I can't even talk to these people. Well, look at your calls, look at the intake. Why is there no follow-up? Exactly, just kind of echoing what you said. And that's something that we see on criminal, PI, family, you name it, that the intake is that Achilles heel, and it's a really big challenge for these attorneys to overcome. Because our job is to fill up the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to bring you those qualified leads, and give you the tools to help you close them. But we're not going to answer the phone. We're not going to do the intake process. You're paying someone, on your staff to do so. And, it's easy for them to look at the agency and say, well, you sent me 100 crap leads, in May. Well, nope. Statistically, that's almost impossible.
Right. Yeah.
That's almost impossible for all 100 of those leads to A, not pick up the phone, or B, not be interested in the services you provide, because they're not just filling out a form because they're bored. So, So yeah, definitely think that's that's something that kind of like the underbelly of failure for a lot of these firms.
Yeah, that's why we offer to actually train your intake staff. We have, we'll get on a Zoom call with them. We have great, over the years of working with all these firms, we have a lot of insight on what to do when it comes to proper intake. We have some documents we'll send them that we expect them to read. Like, listen, you work for this firm. Like our goal is to help this firm. We treat them like we treat it like it's our money. Like nothing makes me happier than seeing one of our clients succeed. I'm telling you, like that's what brings me ultimate happiness. And I'm just that's what gets me out of bed. I love it. But it's like we can only help you so much. Like we're not here to run your firm, we're here for the marketing aspect, but we do so many other things to try to help in that aspect, but when you have the wrong intake person or team, it's just sometimes you just got to move on. I'm sorry, like some of these people, they just don't care. They just don't care about your business. They don't care. They act like they don't even want to be there. Listen, there's someone else they'll take that job, like you might think it's hard to find people, but it's really not. There's plenty of people that are passionate about what they're doing, and they might not want to be an intake person for their whole life, but they got to start somewhere, and they're interested in law, and I've seen intake people end up being a lawyer and passing the bar and working for that firm,
Right, and even they're just customer service related. I mean, that goes a long way, and just being able to speak to people and listen to their problems and be able to provide that initial guidance before they talk to the actual attorney. You're gonna have clients for life.
Yeah, I mean, I dive into some of this in the book, but I've realized over the last few years, it's just gotten worse with intake. It's definitely not getting better. It's getting worse. So the next update of the book, there's going to be a lot more intake material in there. It's just so crucial. I mean, we saw with some of our biggest clients that are paying us a lot per month because we're doing everything for them. that their intake was broken, completely and utterly broken. And we did not know that until, unfortunately, they had spent a good amount of money. And they're like, oh, well, they're like, we're not even getting these phone calls from Google. We're like, what are you talking about? You know, and we saw that. We're like, oh my God, like, this is really bad, you know, and we helped them fix it, and now everything's good, and we righted the ship, and they're happy, you know, and they were very grateful of like the extra time we spent for them, which I'm telling you, that's the issue with these bigger firms, you know. I'm not gonna name names, but whatever. We haven't found one client that's been happy with these big firms, these big agencies, right?
Yeah,
These
super,
big,
super
yeah,
firms, yeah.
these giant agencies do not care. We're a boutique type agency. We like to, we work with big clients. We don't, we don't just work with, the medium and solos, but it's definitely easier to work with the larger clients just because they have their ducks in a row. But we'll help you get there. You know, we'll help your small firm, or even if you're solo, like we have no idea. We're like, look, we're going to set you up with everything that you need, because we've been there, we've done that. We know what it takes to make it work. That's just something these other firms are not going to do. These other agencies are not going to do. They're just not going to, they don't care. You know, they're just a number, you know, they're just hoping to get, 4 or 5 months out of you and, move on. You know, we're looking for long-term partnerships where we help, we help you grow, and we're like a partner, and not just, someone you're paying every month to run your ads. You know, we're actually helping your firm in many aspects, you know. But the thing that drives me crazy is how, like, what are the most ridiculous things you're probably spending money on as a law firm that you're not even realizing you're spending thousands of dollars on every month, you know? Like, you're not willing to spend a few $1,000s on running some ads, some marketing material, whether it's, whatever, or even just doing some SEO. Like, that's crazy to me. I mean, it's all tax deductible, you know, like, put the money towards, like, why are you going to give it to the IRS? Put it towards growing your firm, you know? Like, every dollar you spend towards marketing, and hiring a marketing team is just less of a tax burden for your law firm, and it's helping grow your business, and it's not just, whatever it is, like your coffee bill, or,
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, like we talked about last week, one firm is now ranking on the number one on Google, and he's like, I don't know why I'm so busy. Funny.
Yeah, I was like,
right. He got you from not existing in 2023. You didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, you could have, other than searching for the firm's name, nobody could find you. You're ranking number one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm so busy.
Yeah, they're like, we're so busy we don't even know what to do. Like, we're like, are you kidding me? You're like, did you just say this?
You're great.
Like, they're like, yeah, it's been the last 4 months. We're like, that's when we started.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. It's been a crazy 4 months. You don't say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, that's how blind some of these firms are. Somebody, like, I hope whoever's listening, like, just go dive into your intake and figure out what's going on. They had no idea where these leads were coming from or anything, and when we started listening to some, that's one thing you can do. You can, I don't care who you go with, but whatever, just make sure, turn on some recording for, like, get a tracking number, and record these conversations. Like, in some states, there's laws where, you have to announce it, and the software will do that. So, like, this call's been recorded for quality purposes. Whatever.
Nobody cares. Everybody hears that. You call, Wendy's to put a to-go order in, and they say this call can be recorded for training purposes.
Yeah. No one's going to hang up because of that. No one cares. Like, we've been hearing that for 30 years, whatever. Like, it's not a big deal, but you get a lot of insight from that. And you can hear your intake, and you can hear how wonderful or how awful it is. So just figure it out. Like, this is not a piece of your business that you want to ignore and just assume it's doing well. You want to really make sure, because this is the front line, so intake is crucial. So yeah, like, the marketing is not going to work if the intake's not working. So we can send you leads all day, and they can be like, you could literally be screwing up so badly that there could be 7 figures in your pipeline that are gone because your intake screwed up.
We see it every day.
See it all the time. It's insane. Those big cases are there, but your intake screwed up. I was listening to recording the other day. Oh man, she was so awful. Obviously I'm not going to name any names or anything, but it was so awful that like I wanted to and I don't want to get anyone fired. Like it's not going to make me feel good about myself, but I wanted to just scream like, oh my God, please get this person some training or put them somewhere else at your firm. Like you don't have to fire them, but be like, listen, maybe this is not the best place for you. Maybe you want to come do this, whatever. There's plenty of positions in a firm, and this is a larger firm. It's not like there's like 3 people there. They have tons of employees. So it's just sometimes it's just not the right position for that person. Or you have to be super friendly. Number one, like if you come off sounding like like a drive-through employee, like no one. That's not like someone's about to possibly spend 10 grand with you for a criminal case, 10 grand for a family case, whatever it is. Like that's a lot of money then, and people don't have it these days. People are struggling. So like I'm gonna hang up. I'm sorry. Like if you come off like you don't give a crap about me, and you just sound rude and not enthusiastic and not friendly, I'm hanging up. I'm going to number 2 on my list of lawyers I'm going to call that day. You could have been the one, but you screwed up.
Yeah, and I think it's you wouldn't go and get your brakes done from a mechanic who hasn't had any training, because you'd be fighting to a sign. So lawyers are gonna respond with that and say, well, it's not my job to train people. Well, okay, it's you just left a $10,000 case on a Monday morning, just let it go. So find an agency that will help you train, and that's one of the things that we do. But at the same time, they have to be willing. It's a two-way partnership. It has to the individual has to be able to be willing to meet us halfway and take the training that's given, implement it, take feedback, take constructive criticism. It's not an attack, it's not a threat, it's not like a performance improvement plan. It's okay, this system works. If you do A, B, and C, there's a more likely than not chance that you are going to get the client to the attorney, and then it's out of your hands in a spec, because now the attorney has to determine whether it's a situation or a case and whether or not he or she wants to actually take that. But as an intake person, your job is to get that information, make the potential new client feel like they're valued, and then hand them off to the attorney who's going to make that final judgment. But like you said, if they're not even willing to attempt to try to make those changes and come across with some empathy and some customer service, it's over. And and I mean, again, now that attorney is going to be working for somebody else in 12 months, and you're going to be working in another situation as an intake person that you're probably even more miserable in.
Yeah, I mean, this is a people-oriented business. I mean, you're a law firm. Like all you deal with is people and people's livelihood, and I mean, their lives are and can be in your hands. Like as a criminal lawyer, their family future is in your hands. Is as a family lawyer, personal injury, like that could have been a horrific accident. And like you got to make sure you're doing everything right for them. But like you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people. That you're not selling some widget. You're not selling some goods. This is like serious. Like you need to make sure that people feel like that you're compassionate. They feel welcome. That's why I think people have an advantage over the Morgan & Morgans of the world. Because if you'll notice, like their ratings are going down, like consistently. Their Google ratings, because they've become just a mill. They're just a giant firm, and you're just a number. That's why I love working with the small to medium firms, because they actually can give you a personalized attention and approach. Like that's not something you're going to get. I mean, you might not even hear from your Morgan & Morgan attorney for weeks, and you're just begging them for a callback. So
you're just a number.
You're just a number. So like, this is something like if I'm going to hire an attorney, I'm never going to go to a mega firm. I wouldn't even think twice. I mean, there's no way. I'm going to find a smaller firm, that can give me some personalized attention, because I mean, this is something you never want to do. You never want to hire a lawyer. What's the last thing you want to do? You're hiring a lawyer.
And says, I want to hire a lawyer. So.
Yeah, you're not in a good place, whatever it is. Like, this is not a good situation that you have to hire a lawyer. So you want to make sure your lawyer is very, very compassionate, and not just the lawyer, the whole staff, everybody, very passionate and friendly. You want to feel comfortable when you speak on the phone with these people or walk into that office. So marketing is just the first piece. There's so much that they don't teach you in law school, right? Guarantee they don't teach that in law school either. Like, it's just, it's very crucial. So yeah, that's the thing about these mega firms. A lot of smaller solos and smaller firms think they cannot compete, but that is absolutely not true. You can compete because you just set your marketing apart where, you just set yourself apart by saying things that, that resonate in your ads, like, personalized approach. You're going to speak to a lawyer, not going to speak to a paralegal. We're going to be there for you. We're compassionate, we care, and hopefully these are not lies. Hopefully, like, this is how you really feel. I feel like a lot of lawyers do go into it because they want to help people, right? So yeah, that's from what we've seen. As long as you give it time when it comes to marketing, it'll start working. It's just not going to work right off the bat. Now, having said that, we get lucky sometimes, right? Sometimes, I would say when it comes to personal injury, that really takes time. But for, look at our criminal lawyers.
Yeah, they're destroying it.
Right off the bat, like, there's no real learning. Like, we've got everything down packed to the point where, like, that's the moment you start advertising, you're going to get leads at probably $50 or less from, we haven't seen anything much higher than that. And they're signing clients left and right. Family can be the same way. Personal injury is different, is the most competitive and most expensive. It's just, that's where all the money is at, right? So that's where a lot of lawyers are going. A lot of lawyers are leaving whatever they're doing with family law, and they're like, man, I want to jump into personal injury, but it's so competitive. There's just a lot of money being spent on ads there. So the cost per acquisition is quite high. Having said that, your return is quite high.
Right. There's no seven-figure DUI cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no $1 million DUI cases that I've heard of, but there's certainly $1 million premises, MVA, malpractice. No question.
Yeah, look at our nursing home attorneys. They're absolutely crushing it. Their lowest case value is like $250,000.
Right.
That's crazy. So they're spending $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month in ads, and getting insane returns. And they're the ones that we don't really hear from a lot because, what is it? They're just happy. Spending a few thousand for, like 800, like 1,200% return, something crazy. I don't even know what it is at this point because, sometimes they get 7-figure cases. Like a really, really bad case. Then that's what we say. You gotta, you might get some smaller ones, but like those big cases are out there, and it only takes a few a year. To set you up completely, just a couple a year. Same with MVAs, that they can be really, really, really high return on the ad spend there. Like the return on the ROI is insane for those. Even still, even with a criminal, like if you're talking 7-10 grand, or a family case for at least $5 grand, but like your cost per lead is so low that you can get clients for less than $50. You can speak to someone with a problem for less than $50. That's insane. Considering what Vertical 10 is spending per month, and our return is not even close. But we're outspending most of these lawyers, which makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm talking to these lawyers. I'm like, you've been in business for 10 years. You have 5 attorneys. You have all this staff, and you can't spend $4,000, $3,000 a month on ads. It's insane. Like, you gotta find that money somewhere. Like, you know what I mean?
One case you're even, after that, it's all gravy. Yeah. You got 4 $10,000 DUI cases, off of a $4,000 ad spend. That's a 10 times ROI. And and no offense, it's not like the cases aren't out there. It just goes back to do they have the funds, and do you want to accept the case? And that's a good problem to have. if you had a line of people outside your business and the only question you have is, can you afford my product? You will find 10 out of 100 people that can afford your product.
Yeah.
At those numbers. And that's because that's really,
yeah. I mean, in a lot of cases, they don't have a choice. Like, they're going to have to get that money. Like, or, they don't want to show up in court without a lawyer.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going to come up with the money somehow. If not, we've seen the payment plans is a big thing with family and criminal. Like, you got to do it at this point. People are broke. People are completely broke. Inflation is out of control. People are I mean, like in Florida right now, people can't even afford to live here anymore. It's crazy. You never think that about Florida, but yeah, people are leaving the state, and people with money are moving in because people that they can't afford a $10,000 lawyer right now. They don't have 10 grand in cash, but you put them on a payment plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have money to buy Popeyes.
Well, not at $13.75 for
$13.75 for Popeyes, man. Come on. Yeah, for sure. So like, how do you expect these people to have 10 grand for an attorney? Just laying around. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's the ones that are marketing are doing well. The ones that are sitting on the sidelines, you got to do something. I don't care who you hire a firm that's reputable, that knows what they're doing, that works in legal only. Do not hire a firm that does everything. They will not understand they won't understand your needs. They won't understand the climate. They won't understand the legality. There's just a lot to know when it comes to the legal. So, like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years for lawyers. So I know lawyers, I know law firms, I know how it all works. So hire someone like that. And look, for the love of God, don't hire some 18-year-old who's trying to get rich, doesn't know what they're doing, and is going to make some TikTok videos for you or something like that. Please don't do that. Hire someone hire an adult, for God's sake, and someone that's been doing this for a while. We see that too often. Like, these kids get in and they're just like, I'm going to be rich because some dude on YouTube taught me how to do Facebook ads. No, not going to work. They have no idea what they're doing. I've been in those accounts. I've been in those Facebook accounts. They have no idea what they're doing. This is a very complex, all marketing is very complex. People don't realize how complicated it can be and how often things can break and how you have to really know how to fix this and that. And there's a lot involved. So don't try to figure it out on your own. I've never seen a lawyer figure it out on their own. Have you?
In the short term, they've had a little bit of success from people that I've talked to. And by short term, I mean like 3 to 6 months. And because, like you said, they're running their own practice. They're in depositions. They're in and out of court. They're managing a team of, 4, 6 people or even 2 people. So all of a sudden they're like, well, it works. And then they wake up 6 months later and it's crickets. And they're like, well, it was working back in December. Why is it not working in June? Well, you didn't stay on top of it, which again, it's not throwing stones. You were in a 3-week trial and you took a vacation and you were in 15 depositions and, your receptionist quit and your kid got sick. So you can't stay on top of it like a vertical 10 can, like where you're paying your agency where our job is to maintain that level of excellence that we've gotten you to. So for maybe a few months, they can have a little bit of success, but long-term, nobody. And that's not like literally nobody has had success for more than 3 or 4 months, going out on their own. Having your book, makes it so that they do have, information and they do have an understanding so that like when we have a conversation, I'm not speaking French and they're speaking German.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
And so, and they, and if something does pop up, they can maybe see it like, initially and say, hey, X, Y, and Z is happening. Can you guys take a look at that? And, and that's a definite, help because, if you're good at fixing toilets, do you want to do a complete repipe of your house? No. If you're good at fixing toilets and your plumber comes up and says, you need this, this, and this, and if you have a a general understanding of basic plumbing, you may know that he's not being truthful with me. And
Yeah, exactly.
and you can have that, that background information, and then you bring in someone for a second opinion, and they may confirm that. They say, okay, no, you don't necessarily need this. Here's a more cost-effective solution that's really going to help you. And then you stick with that plumbing company for life, because they're not in there just to make, $20,000 on a whole home repipe for you. You know how to unclog a toilet. You know how to install a new toilet. You know how to do some flooring. The law firm marketing blueprint gives you that basis, but at the same time, I think it's a tool in many of the resources that an attorney or a firm would have, not just necessarily like the end all be all, because what is it, 250, 300 pages. I mean, you could write 2,000 pages and not cover every detail that you want. So
yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because that's exactly what a marketing book for lawyers would do, is basically keep you from getting screwed, because there's a lot of firms out there's a lot of I keep calling them firms, but there's a lot of agencies that are they're just charging way too much. Okay, in some cases it's legitimate, because the law firm is massive. There's a lot of work, and there's a lot of management, and it's constant management. But like you got some of them charging $10,000 a month for SEO.
Yeah, right. And they're doing branded keywords.
Yeah,
they're not doing the money keywords. They're just rebranding your firm's name. Well, shit. People already know what Coca-Cola is when they go to the site.
right. Yeah, I mean, that's not helping bringing new clients at all. So yeah, so some of it is just So I think at the end of the day, if you come out and you're speaking to an agency, and they see like they actually know some stuff, so they actually know what they're talking about when it comes to this with their marketing and everything, then I think that they're less likely to try to basically screw you over, because a lot of them will do that. Like their ethics are not where they need to be. Like they're just trying to charge you as much as humanly possible, because they see, this is a huge firm, we can charge them 10 grand. Some cases, 10 grand a month for SEO can be justified.
Yes,
it can be. Okay, but it really depends. Like, okay, if you're in New York City, it might actually cost 10 grand to get your results. You know what I mean? But if you're in, whatever, somewhere in Tennessee or something like that, then no, it's really not. Even like the biggest city in Tennessee is not going to cost 10 grand. There's not even enough work to do for 10 grand a month. You know what I mean? Like that would be a lot of backlinks. And even then, backlinks are not the end all when it comes to SEO and stuff like that. So just in certain terms, or they're charging, $5,000-$6,000 to run your Facebook ads. That's something you would do for a huge firm that has a lot of ads that are being run. Okay.
Multiple states.
Yeah. Multiple states, nationwide campaign, lots of ads, lots of different moving parts. I get that. But like you charge them $5,000 for the solo to run their ads, it makes no sense, so that's where, we keep our pricing very, very competitive, because here's another problem is a lot of these agencies will not work with you if you are not making a certain amount of revenue. Like they will just cut you off. They're like, listen, no, we can't work with you. I understand that, because it's frustrating working with some smaller firms, right? Because they don't really have the funds, and they don't want to spend money, and they do complain a lot, unfortunately, and they expect ridiculous results for very little money. So they just cut them off. I don't want to do that, because I want to help small businesses. You know what I mean? I mean, the small business is the heart of this country. It really is. I mean, I'm not a very trusting person. You know me a long time. Like I don't trust a lot of people or companies. I don't trust big, giant companies. I don't trust these massive companies. They will do whatever they can to screw people over. They'll put your safety at risk. They don't care. Watch enough documentaries, you'll know. Right. Money is all they care about. They don't care who gets hurt. They don't care whose lives get destroyed. These giant firms, where it comes to whatever, whatever it is, they just don't care. Small businesses are not out there doing that. You know what I mean? That's why I try to support small business as much as possible, and I want to help small businesses. Vertical 10 wants to help small businesses grow, but you got to help us. You have to. There has to be, you have to help by being patient. You come out and you're like, I want to spend $800, $1,000 a month on marketing. Well, you're a personal injury lawyer. What do you think that's going to give you when the cost per acquisition right now in your state is $2,500 for a case? I mean, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So you have to have reasonable expectations, and that's what a good business person does. Like, they understand the business side of running a firm. We get a lot of great lawyers, fantastic lawyers, just awful businessmen and women. They're just not great at running the business side, and that's where we come in. Like we are running a business, and we've helped many of our clients run their business efficiently, and they have to understand that marketing, patience with marketing, spending the required amount of money to be able to compete based on the clicks and the impressions needed, based on the cost per click of these keywords, and and the competition in your area. You can compete, but I'm not saying you got to spend $100,000 a month, but you got to spend something. $1,000 is not going to cut it. 1,500, whatever it is. So I don't care if you go get a loan, like whatever it is, get some money, because if not, you're going to be out of business. That's the reality of that's what we're seeing. It's incredibly some people are seriously still spending $5,000 a month on billboards. That's blowing my mind.
Yeah, and I told you, a good friend of mine who I used to work with, one of his jobs was to take these individuals and drive them around to check on their billboards once every quarter or so. And if there was a problem on the billboard, it wasn't reported for 90 days. So you just spent $15,000 on a billboard that you haven't checked in on, and there's been a problem with it for 70 of those 90 days. Yeah. So you just spent $15,000. You lit it on fire because it's either a digital billboard or or there might have been an error with it, and well, that money's gone. You think Clear Channel is going to give you your money back? No, that's not going to happen. They're just we will repair it at some point. But they still do. They still do.
Billboards are just a vanity thing, honestly, at this point. They just like seeing their face up there. But it's not driving any business at all. Right. The statistics show it's not driving business, but they think that is, even though they're probably not even tracking, where their actual leads are coming from. I guarantee it, if they are tracking, it's still going to be the industry standard right now, which is less than 1%.
Right.
So why would anyone pay $5,000, $10,000 around here in Tampa? I mean, it's going to be $20,000 a month for something that's bringing a 1%, and that's just leads. I mean, you're not even getting a case. That's just a lead.
Yeah, those people. Yep.
Yeah, take that money, put it in digital, and not only are you guaranteed that, you're going to see the clicks, you're going to see the impressions, you're going to know what's happening, you're going to see the leads coming in. They're all trackable. If it's phone calls, you're going to see the phone calls. They're all recorded. Whatever it is, you're going to be able to track down to the penny what your return on investment is when it comes to digital. So just, love of God, just get rid of the billboard. Get yourself a digital billboard called Facebook that has 2 billion people on it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Go with Google. You'll rank. So
yeah.
I mean, hopefully there's some attorneys out there listening to this, and whether they decide to reach out to us or another reputable agency, so be it. But it's a dog eat dog world, and if you're not moving forward, you're moving behind. And I've talked to, Arash, how many conversations have we had where I've talked to these people and they are literally on their last leg, and that leg is already in quicksand.
Yeah.
And it's it's sad in a way, because these people they're desperate, and okay, this is okay, you live in this city, you operate out of this area of the state, you need to spend $3,000 a month on advertising, you're going to get a couple of cases out of that. I don't have it. Well, what cases do you have in your pipeline? I don't have any. All my referrals dried up. What are you going to do? What's your plan B? And every single time, I'm not joking, every single time I ask them, what is your plan B? They do not have one.
Yeah, they don't.
They do not have one. They're like, I don't know. I was like, well, okay, so what are you going to do? I don't know. Well, that's a hell of a way to wake up every morning. Say, where's my next paycheck coming from? I don't know. I mean, how many ulcers and heart attacks? I mean, shit, maybe that's why, most people are dying of heart attacks and stuff like that. If you don't know, if you're a small business owner and you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, you don't know where your next client is coming from. I don't know how you get out of bed with no plan.
That's a scary place to be.
They tell me every time, okay, if you don't do this, what's your plan B? I don't have one.
Yeah. And
It's
you see that they don't survive, unfortunately, And look, the crazy thing is, earlier in the stages of Vertical 10, I was, I just felt so bad for some of these people that, remember, I was like, listen, tell them I'll do it for free.
Right.
I was like, listen, I will run their ads for free. If in 3-4 months, everything's great and they're making, then they can pay us. And not a great sustainable business model on my end, but I was,
That's the Salvation Army. Yeah.
No, yeah. I just felt bad. I was like, listen, because good karma. I was like, maybe it'll come back to us or something, whatever. How many people did we offer that to and they didn't even take it?
Yes.
That's what blew my mind. I was like, they're so bad off that they're not even willing to, they're scared of taking free marketing. And I was giving away free marketing. I was like, listen, I think the one lady that really made us feel bad because she was
the one in New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah, she was. Oh man, she was in a bad place. Remember, I was like, listen, our team will create her, or she didn't even have a website or anything. We're like, we'll create her a free website worth $5,000.
Yeah.
Didn't take it. She didn't do it.
Yeah, she's not returning calls.
Yeah, I'm like, this is crazy. we can't even give out free service.
Right.
That's how bad off their business is. And I love to help people. It's just like yesterday, I rode my motorcycle to the store, and I was riding home, and this poor woman was on the side of the road with a sign, 3 kids. I can't feed my kids. Surprising to see in this area. We're not downtown or whatever. And I gave her $50. Right out of my wallet, I gave her $50 because I couldn't stand seeing her struggling so bad. Maybe she was a scammer. I don't know. She could have got me, but whatever. I felt good about it. I was like, it's Mother's Day. I'm gonna give this lady. That's what I had in my wallet. I had $50. I'm like, she's getting my $50. But she was so grateful. You saw it in her eyes. She was so grateful, and that's the crazy thing. We offered this help these people, and they didn't even take it. I didn't understand that. It didn't make any sense to me. I think the only thing I can think of is they just completely given up.
Yes. It's very possible.
Yeah. They're just mentally, they checked out and they're like, that's it. I failed. My business has failed. I'm going back to working for somebody. Awful feeling. I can't imagine what that feels like. I'll do anything I can to make my business survive. I don't care what it takes. You know what I mean? If I have to take multiple loans out to keep paying for the marketing, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't really care what it takes. I'm gonna do it until it's impossible to do it anymore. But I've learned marketing keeps the business alive. It just does. It's as soon as you stop it, the business will die. I mean, do you think Morgan & Morgan got to where they are waiting on referrals?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look how massive they are. They are going to be worth, I think they are now, they're worth $1 trillion. First law firm that's ever been worth $1 trillion.
Right. Yeah, it's a comprehensible number.
Unbelievable. For a law firm, right? So what do? They do omnipresent marketing. They are everywhere. You know what I mean? You name it, they're there. I've even seen them on YouTube videos for pranksters, which blew my mind. I was watching a prankster. I love those prankster videos. They're hilarious. And they're in the middle, these pranksters, which are just like kids. They're 20 years old. They stopped and were like, hey, Morgan & Morgan is a great law firm. Go check it out. I was like, they're paying these pranksters. They don't care. They will market until you know their name. You know what I mean? So marketing works. It works. You don't have to spend, I think they spend $1 million a month just on Facebook. Hard to compete with that, I get, but it still works. I mean, look at all the clients that we have that are in the same market with Morgan & Morgan, and they're getting leads too. Morgan & Morgan can't get every lead. You know what I mean?
And contrary to what public opinion is, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, it still works even with a mega firm. I mean, look, Vertical 10 is doing well, and we have to compete with massive agencies too that are spending obscene amounts of money. You know, like I know one agency that is a competitor of ours, and we're not to that point where we can spend what they're spending. They're spending, I think $5,000 a day in ads on Facebook. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money. You know, we'll get there one day. Trust me, that's my goal. Right? We'll get there, but you have to start somewhere and work it up. That's the best. I can guarantee you they didn't start there. You know,
short of stepping into the lottery before they open their agency, it's impossible just to have that. But yeah, and then in the last thing, you know, before we wrap this up, and it's something that I'm seeing a lot, that it's kind of a paradox. Some of these firms that we're talking to are afraid of success. Yeah. They're afraid because when we tell them, listen, you're going to get, you know, let's just say 50 leads or 100 leads. You're going to get 50 or 100 leads in a month. That's a daunting number for a solo or a partner firm who, you know, has been living off of referrals since, let's just say 2015, right? Last 9 or 10 years. And they're not mentally equipped, like in that moment, to understand, hey, like you're going to go from, you know, your sleepy little law firm that's doing okay, but now it's started to kind of go on a little bit of a slide, to the phone's going to be ringing, the email submissions are going to be coming in constantly. Can you handle success? And Arash, I'm telling you, there is a fear of success out there for some of these individuals that I talk to every day, that you can see the difference where, you know, you've got the aggressive firms like Potter, for example, who, you know, bring it on. I can handle it. To, you know, other individuals where they're, you know, quite they can't handle it. And before you partner with an agency, you gotta tell yourself, hey, you know, I've got to be prepared. My team has to be prepared for, and I call it the wave that's coming. And a lot of these solo firms, smaller firms, and some even like the mid-sized firms, they think they're prepared, but like at the end of the day, they are scared of what's coming. And you have to embrace the change. You have to embrace what's coming, because yes, you have to be patient, but it's a different world that you're stepping into.
Yeah, to me, that's the world I want to be in. I don't want to be in the world where my phone's not ringing, right? And there's no leads coming in, there's no emails, there's nothing. That's a scary world. I'm not scared of the world where there's too many leads coming in. I'll figure that out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Think about one of the partners we had. I'm talking to too many people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a bad problem to have.
You talk to 100 people, 90 of them tell you, you know, their situation and it's bunk, and there's 10 cases out of that 100. That's a pretty good couple of months.
Yeah.
But I mean, we see it. We see it, and you know, if there's attorneys still listening at this point on going into hour number 2, don't be afraid of success. Don't be afraid of success.
Exactly.
It may take 30, 60, 90 days, 120 days, but when success comes, you have to be prepared to handle it, and you have to be prepared to you know, double down, bet on yourself. You know, because if you don't bet on yourself, who's going to bet on you? You know, I mean,
yeah, and I think most firms can handle the wave because it's not going to break their firm or anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
It might break their intake a little bit, but it's not going to break their firm, because you're still only going to sign 5 to 10% of any leads.
Right. Exactly.
We're seeing it even from Google. It doesn't matter. Like, it's still a small number, because you're not in the restaurant business where you just, you know, marketed a coupon and all these people are going to come in and get a burger or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
Tuesdays. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they're coming in, they're eating. You know, if they come to your firm or they call your firm, the likelihood of them having a case for whatever reason is pretty low. There's so many factors, you know. There's a whole checkpoint, a checklist of things you got to go through to make sure the case is viable. And most of them are not viable. So they have to also understand that. they have this mentality where they're like, well, like every lead to come in, like half of them should be great. No, this just doesn't work that way, And that's most firms that are established and been doing this a while, they get that. They know. They're like, listen, we got to sift through a lot of crappy leads, But I mean, look at one of our clients where they switched to us from where they were with Martin Hubble and Unbundled,
right?
And they would just send them like thousands of leads. Here you go, sift through all these leads, right? They were doing the same thing with that too, right? But then they switched to us because they saw the return on investment for the leads we were bringing them were much better. They're paying $10,000 less a month for our leads and half the leads to sift through. You know what I mean? So either way, you're gonna have to get leads from somewhere. If you're gonna go buy them like you do from these other, which I don't recommend at all. You don't want to buy leads. You want to market and produce your own leads. It's the best way to do it, right? But we're not gonna get into that. But yeah, I mean, in the long term, that's going to be the best solution because it's going to cost less, and your cost per acquisition is going to go down the longer you keep marketing, because the algorithm learns, it gets better, it starts figuring out who needs to target. It's smart. It's incredibly smart. You got the smartest people in the world working on these things, So, yeah, I mean, don't be afraid of success. Don't be afraid of all these leads. It's a good problem to have.
Right. Yeah. The scary thing is it's been 2 weeks and your phone hasn't rang. So
yeah, that's terrifying. That's when I'm sitting up at night, just worried to death, not sleeping. I'm not. I don't have that problem when there's too many leads. That I'll figure out. But at the end of the day, I'm sleeping great. Yeah. Exactly. If I have to hire some more staff or whatever I got to do, I'll work. That's a great problem to have. I'll take that all day long.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up. Yeah, a great podcast today. Gary was awesome. Hopefully individuals that are listening to Gary and then just us kind of riffing for a little bit, take it to heart, take the advice, pick up the book, pick up Gary's book and, read through it, read a couple of chapters here and there, read it, read a chapter at the pool, read a chapter, on a Sunday, before you're going out, just to, just kind of, keep your mind right and really, take what Arash has done and take what Gary's done to heart, because they're not just writing books just to have their name out there. It's there to help you, and it's definitely something that not only attorneys but everybody across the entire spectrum can use for help. So great podcast today. Hope everybody enjoys it, and we've got a couple more lined up later in the week. So stay tuned, and we'll keep producing good and entertaining pods for everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. And like I said, if you want a free copy, go to vertical10.com. I could give them the link to we'll put that in the show notes, the link to actually go to the landing page where they can request a book. But if you just want to just go to vertical10.com, you can just fill out the submission form and we'll send you a book. Go get Gary's book. Then you'll have the marketing aspect. And then the other aspect, which is just as important, is, the stress and dealing with, all the things that come with running a firm or just being a lawyer. It's very stressful. So got to get your mind right.
All right. Great. Till later this week. Thanks, Arash.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for this week's episode of the Next Level Law Podcast with your hosts, Arash Eskandari and Richard Perillo. We hope you discovered some game-changing takeaways to implement immediately for leveraging your law firm growth. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review and rating on your preferred platform to help get the word out. You can also visit vertical10.com to access free law firm growth resources and a free copy of Arash's book, The Law Firm Marketing Blueprint. Finally, remember to join Arash and Richard next time as they continue revealing their best strategies for taking your firm to the next level. Until then, here's to your success.